Hello, folks, and welcome to the Flatcar office hours on the 8th of April 2026. We already had a little bit of a chat going on before the recording started, and we'll get back right to that because it's very interesting. Before we do that, please keep in mind that we're a CNCF project, and as such, we adhere to the CNCF Code of Conduct, which basically means be nice to each other and treat others like you want to be treated. All right. I don't want to hold back with any of the agenda stuff. Logan, can you please jump right in?
Yeah, so I have an older AMD-based system that's a little NUC, and I wanted to run some local inference network video recorder on there. And I wanted, since they distribute via container, and they kindly enough build the ROCm libraries, I was like, oh great, I'll just run on Flatcar. And then I found out you guys don't have the AMD GPU, so I was going to look into building the AMD GPU driver inside of a Flatcar image. But then I guess in part of our conversation, we found out that there is a dev image that already has the AMD driver built in. So I'm going to be trying that while this recording is going on. and seeing how that goes. But there was another, there was a discussion about making it a sysext, but then the other, since the AMD drivers are already in tree, that was a different, that wasn't exactly needed. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't think we wanted as a sysext, and previously we wouldn't have had the space available to do this, but since we've rearranged where the kernel lives, we now have the space. So yeah, it's fine. There's just one thing to be aware of. There is like a particular general AMD based system kernel config option, which for some reason we haven't enabled, and we were going to do that. Jan was looking at that, but because our CI was down, I think he was held back there. But yeah, ideally we want to get that in for the next release as well.
That's interesting. And I remember my the chief architect of my company is really up on his kernel images and kernel features. So because I also have an old AMD NUC, and then I have a Strix Halo based system. So since the Strix Halo is doing day job work as well as hobby work, I'm more keen to test on the older system, and then when things get a little more stable, I could work on the Strix Halo. So, but I want to say that the rumor that I heard was that AMD has more features in their, I think it's 618 driver or 618 kernel image, which I know we are on 612, I want to say.
We're about to get 618 as well.
Okay.
That's something Cyan's been looking at.
Checked off the list then, or at least soon to be checked off the list. But yeah, so that's exciting. I'm happy to hear all that.
And we have an open issue on GitHub. I will share the link in the chat. If you can report back any feedback on your testing regarding AMD GPU, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it'll be old. I'm not sure if the system is actually even that. If it's like, I assume it's still supported, but yeah.
I think 6 years like really seems to be a good age for having good and evaluated kernel support. So I would say that's almost perfect. It might even be a little resource constrained, but it's always interesting to test on lower end systems, right? Because you find bugs there.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be a good time. And I mean, like I always, my policy has been before the recent shenanigans has always been buy as much RAM as you can while you can.
That's become rather challenging.
Yeah, I'm glad that I was doing that for a while, but now it feels difficult.
Yeah, I feel you. All right, just opening up Matthew's issue really quick so we can take a look at it. All right. Yeah, the only reason why I was considering a AMD driver sysext is to put it on par with the NVIDIA stuff, but if that's not desirable because it's an in-tree driver anyways, then I guess it's perfectly fine shipping it with the image.
Yeah, the big difference is that unlike NVIDIA, there's just one version and it just works on all the hardware. I wish that was the case for NVIDIA.
Yeah, and it's not the same approach of the open source as well. So if you check the number of commits in Linux firmware or in the Linux kernel regarding AMD or AMD GPU, it's way more than NVIDIA.
Yeah, yeah, and it's in tree. I mean, that's kind of a killer feature here. I get this. Nice, good stuff. I like people building crazy stuff on Flatcar. It's always amazing.
And for what is worth, we're currently investigating on enabling GPU support testing, AMD GPUs testing in the CI. So right now we just rely on users' feedback, but maybe at one point we will be able to test it in the CI.
So we're gonna live patching the agenda here. All right. Well, okay. Announcements. I think that's Jan's part. That fits best in announcements.
Thanks. So, two small things. One is after having a vote on the maintainers mailing list, we are deciding to retire slash archive the TORCX. I'm not really sure how it's supposed to be pronounced. Repo and the.
It's a kind of wrench.
Oh, like the tool. Okay.
Yeah, it's an actual thing.
Okay. I mean, I know it, but yeah. And the Flatcar IPXE script repos. So they will be available in the different org that's just simply called, like, I think, Flatcar-archive. And that's kind of it. And the second thing is, if you are a maintainer, or honestly anyone, we have a very long list of PRs for refactoring, contribution guidelines, and these have to be kinda looked at per repo. So there were 65 outstanding PRs. I think we're down to like about 30. So if you could just please take a look at this list. It has the updated of like which one is merged and which one is not. It's basically important that now when we're doing it, we do take into account like, hey, this repo actually, this and that should be mentioned, that it needs to be done when you're contributing here. And that's kind of
Nice. That's good. That's awesome. You're driving this, both Lexi and you. Great job.
You have to scroll to the bottom of the row. Yeah.
Let's do it. Oh god. Ha! Beautiful. Yeah. That is some nice housekeeping right here. All right. We don't have any fixed agenda items for today. Matthew and I can chat a little bit about our rejects and KubeCon experiences, if you like, if that makes sense. So I'll hand the mic to Matthew.
Yeah, so we just get back from KubeCon. It was 2 weeks ago in Amsterdam, KubeCon Europe. So we had a booth, a Flatcar booth in the CNCF Pavilion project. That was super interesting, as usual, to meet Flatcar users, Flatcar contributors, Flatcar maintainers, to discuss about fresh ideas, implementations, new features, and stuff like that, and just to chat in real life. It's always interesting to discuss with people. So yeah, as usual, we've been able to discuss a bit with the cloud provider as well, to see how we can enhance the Flatcar experience on various cloud providers. So yeah, we got discussions here, and I'm not sure if you get a chance to see us, but we even got a flower on the booth. I was thinking we should give her a name to this flower. But anyway, that was nice. And for the rejects, it was the day before the KubeCon. So it was the first time it was community driven. So it was organized by the community, and during the day it was managed by the community as well. So that was really exciting. And as usual, a lot of good talks and high quality for the talks. So this is really great. That's all I have to say about the KubeCon and rejects. Maybe we'll have a blog post or something like that.
That might be worth doing, yeah. So that is the flower. I brought it home from Amsterdam. I'll definitely bring it to FroshCon. So should you be at FroshCon, flat pedal. Maybe we make it kind of like a voting thing or a poll or something. So it'll live here. It'll be safe and cube pedal. Hmm. Yeah, we had a few chats with folks using Flatcar for their Kubernetes clusters, their control planes. Good chats with Stackit folks who use Flatcar for their hosted Kubernetes offer as the OS of choice. We had a nice chat with folks from Revo, which is a Spanish Kubernetes as a service provider, and they have built their own Kubernetes distro on top of Flatcar. So they're rolling that out soon. They're using Proxmox, Bare Metal, and a number of clouds, so they're benefiting from the cloud agnostic way Flatcar is being configured. Yeah, so it seems to be an increase in both users and folks building their business cases on Flatcar, and that is really nice to see. All right, that was kind of my my angle. Oh, and I did a nice presentation at Rejects that actually demonstrated that you can use the same config to pull up a whole Kubernetes cluster on several clouds. It was literally the same YAML file that I used with a simple Kubernetes physics approach. It was fun. All right. Yeah, that was pretty much it from my side as well.
I think we can mention the Discord server. Maybe.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So here is an invite, which I believe will be short-lived. So if you're in this call right now, feel free to join. Essentially, the idea is that not very many people use Matrix as a platform. Therefore, we do want to move to Discord. This link right here is going to allow you to join our new server. Right now, it's not publicly listed yet. There's like, I don't know, 7 people there maybe, and it's just mostly us. So you're just feel free to join. Like, let us know if everything works, if something is broken, because usually permissions are, as it goes with Discord. If the experience is okay, or maybe you get stuck, or anything really, or maybe you just completely hate the layout and whatever, right? So, yeah, that's it, I think.
Awesome. Let me just join the server real quick so people can get an idea.
And like, just to clarify, I think we'll be doing it over some time, right? It's not gonna be like, one day jump.
No, it really depends on traction, I think. So what we've seen with Slack and Metrics is that you have 2 entirely different communities, and there's almost no overlap between the 2 communities. So I would argue there's a certain chance that with Discord we would tap into communities that we haven't any visibility to. And we would see that by tracking. Let me share the screen. So window, Discord. So that's the Flatcar Discord. Parties going on, as you can see, and we have a number of specialized channels and even chat rooms if you want to talk to folks. So that's being established and will be used in parallel to the Slack and Metrics offers that we currently have. And then we'll see if there's a migration from one to the other, or if you just gain users on Discord and the users on Metrics remain the same. So, which is what happened to Slack, to our Slack channels, and then we'll act accordingly. All right. Then, do we have any new joinees? Is there a hello channel?
It's
Or is that
in
general?
the general, yeah.
It's All right, cool. And Yusuf joined. Thanks, Yusuf, for joining. Nice. All right, folks. Looking at the agenda, we don't have any other agenda items, so let's make it open mic time. Anything you folks want to bring up, you want to discuss? Go ahead, Mathieu.
Yes, Jenkins is broken right now since a few days now, so we expect some delays in the release. We were supposed to release last week, but because of this issue, we can't release yet. And you should expect some side effect on your dev builds as well. But since yesterday, we have a new Jenkins setup being up and running, and we're finishing the last missing components before being able to release again. But yeah, sorry for the disruption.
Awesome. Thanks for jumping in and fixing things. That's amazing. All right. Anything else you folks want to bring up? Adrian.
Hello. So wanted to ask about systemd. While I was testing the ARM64 SDK, which by the way works, and I could build the Flatcar images on an ARM64 environment, thanks to Chewy's work. Great work. I observed that systemd is now so. Before we were manually upgrading systemd like we do right now with the kernel, but since a few let's say months, we are following systemd's Gen 2. And this brings into question that the portage stable updates will be more important because they can also change systemd. So recently, portage stable bumped the systemd version. Just wanted to further information like that. The portage stable now is all so systemd is following now the Gen 2's release schedule or release track, and portage stable where it upgrades systemd have become more important. Those PRs, basically those automated PRs that are being taken care manually, but still they become more important.
To be clear, Kresimir, who usually handles the updates, he's not doing it blindly. He did bring it up in a recent meeting. He had to update a whole bunch of patches because we've got a heavy set of patches at the moment, but those should go away. But yeah, I think he's obviously well aware of how important that piece is. And I'm not really concerned that Gen 2 might fall behind. They're very good at keeping that up to date.
Yeah, it's not the problem of falling behind. Is maybe a problem of Flatcar going too fast.
Yeah. That's what I figured.
Yeah. So we have to be more careful. So for example, last time there was a allow. In the packages list, there was an allow, but the next portage stable PR just overrided that because a new Gen 2 patch came, and it's basically that line for now is superfluous in the allow because a new version got mainlined by Gen 2. This is what I wanted to bring into question or to attention. Sorry.
If you mean that we were allowing an unstable version and they've since stabilized it, then
No, they bumped. So Gen 2
okay.
actually bumped quite. That's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was all from my side related to the ARM64 patch. I see that it's still in draft mode. Anything that I can do on that?
No, we're just waiting for the last weekly update to get merged, which has been delayed because of CI.
Okay.
I'm not sure where we keep it, but we have a list of package names that we automatically sync from Gentoo, if I'm not mistaken, or did that change?
No, it's called portage stable list or something like that.
Okay.
It's in the .github folder.
That's where I looked. I couldn't find it. Is it in workflows?
No, yeah, and you have the portage table.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah. So systemd
want-
is now well, it's been for a long, quite a long-ish time there, but the changes this thing brings, it's a little bit more nuanced,
Mhm.
and we have to make sure that everything that changes systemd versions will be taken care of. Maybe we can do something like a in the PRs that we open, in the template there is a check button that all maybe we can add a new check button, make sure that if systemd version changed, we do more tests or something like that.
Mhm. No, you're talking about major version change, I guess.
Yes, because it will be inherited now from Gen 2. We won't,
No,
unless.
I get the whole background. That makes a lot of sense, and I think we did it just to keep maintenance overhead of that package a little lower. I do get the concerns too, though. Maybe so if that ever becomes a problem, maybe we want to make this a separate step, excluded from the weekly updates, and put it into its own kind of category, which should be relatively easy. We just use another package list file for that, and then run the automation on that separate package list file. So I think there's some middle ground between putting it back into our overlay and just syncing everything from upstream Gentoo. I do know though that the weekly updates are usually heavily scrutinized. Like they tend to be relatively big, that's true. But I think they're thoroughly tested. So it's not just the CI builds. We do full SDK builds with them before merging them. Because they often also include changes for the SDK containers. Speaking of SDK containers, so the ARM64 container, can it cross-compile?
Yes, it can build for AMD64.
Beautiful! Oh,
Yes,
that's so nice.
I tested that scenario as well.
Nice. That's good
I
stuff.
had to patch an Intel project that we used to manipulate firmware or something. I can't remember exactly what it does, but yeah, it literally wouldn't build on anything except AMD64. So yeah, I had to tweak that. It was fairly easy to do, but yeah, that was funny.
Cool. All right. Good stuff. Anything else up for open mic time? These are interesting topics. Like people should step forward and just share that if they have anything like it.
Well, I'm still knee deep in the OEM stuff. That's more internal, but hopefully this is going to get us closer to upstream ignition. Probably need to talk to Matthew some more. Keep running into brick walls.
In my enthusiasm to start my AMD system, I nuked my root disk, so it's okay.
Was that intentional?
I think I forgot that I was booted from the disk I was intending to install to, and I was like, oh no. So away it went. But there was nothing vital on there, so it's. I mean, for a long time in my life, I lived doing like a clean install every 6 months for the fun of it. So that does have a side effect of having a lot of like backup prefix for a lot of my files. But no, so that should be, and then I don't have, it's a headless system. So then I have to set up my little DIY KVM again. Yeah, I'm glad this is being recorded and sent out to YouTube too. That's exciting.
We don't have we don't have overwhelmingly many users. watch
Oh,
it.
the
But
internet never forgets. So
yeah, and you can always link to it, like right to the timestamp. So if you feel a need to do that, please like, subscribe.
Oh yeah. And then how are people using Convext?
I think barely at all right now. You'd be pioneering a lot of that, and we'd love to get feedback. It's been an alpha since one alpha, right? Like one alpha release, and we're very happy that it's finally there. We're not making heavy use of it yet.
Yeah, I was kind of looking for inspiration, or kind of like what is the not really solution, but like what is the use case or the pattern that people are finding for that. So
Okay, that I can give you a few ideas and
okay.
So right now, I need to share my screen again. Right now, if you look at some of the patterns that we use in the bakery,
I think the short version is it's going to let us get rid of a lot of hacks.
Yeah, no, it's not necessarily hacks. It's even cleaner than what we're doing right now. So if you look at, for instance, the Kubernetes sysax, that needs a few. Oh, I just see it's a bad example because it doesn't have what I was looking for. Let me think. What could have it? Cilium, maybe?
Cronny, maybe?
Cronny or Cilium? No, okay, Cilium doesn't have it. Cronny. No. Those just are regular. Maybe Falco. So there's a certain way, if you need certain files to be available. Oh, yeah, we have it. If you need certain files to be available in etc, then the way we currently doing this with some of the sysax that we have in the bakery, and I believe some of the system dependent sysax as well, they ship a temp files configuration. So system temp files is a service that allows you to copy files on demand when they're not present, depending on a configuration. And then what this does is it tells system temp files that as soon as this Falco sysax is being merged, go into that path.
Well, no, hang on. Correction there. That's not what happens, though, is it? Because it doesn't happen when it gets merged. It only happens when you restart temp files or when you reboot.
Let's check the configuration. So it should, in theory, happen at merge time when you set the service manager reload to true.
But I could be wrong, but I don't think reloading the service manager triggers that.
Reloading the service manager would at least cause systemd to reevaluate the temp files.
I don't think it reevaluates the temp files. This is something I've kind of noticed, but
okay. So that we would need a temp file reload. But we divert. I got you.
But the reason I mention it is because the good news is with all this is with Convext, we won't need to do that anymore.
Correct. Yeah. So what this sysax does is it ships a file in USR share. That file is actually shipped by Falco. So the Falco will put it here, and then we install a temp files configuration that will take this file or this directory actually and put it in etc Falco. With Convext, what you could do is you could include a Convext with this deployment that basically ships that directory to etc. And then that way you would have it would be auto removed if you remove the sysax. the context here is never the temp file here has never been cleaned up because no one tells systemd temp files to remove it.
Okay.
And the file would only stick around if you modify it yourself, but that's maybe what you want anyway, because you don't want your modifications to disappear when you unmerge the sysext.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
So-
there's a number of simplifications in shipping configurations and bundling those configurations with sysexts.
So maybe to borrow an example from my own like personal shenanigans, right? So I use Node Exporter, right? So if I'm going to run Node Exporter on a Flatcar based system, you need your etc config Node Exporter for your own. So that would work inside of Convex for example. Okay,
yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, thank you for that.
Welcome. And please go out and play with it and give us feedback on whether it works for you or not. It's very, very fresh. It's a super new feature, and we would like people to experiment with it before it hits beta.
And you could potentially like version your config as well and serve it through systemd sys update. Is that right?
Yeah, that would work too.
So because we're using a couple of Flatcar based systems, right? So I think we have our gateway product runs on Flatcar, and so does our main kind of controller node. And things are very minimal there, very kind of like slimmed down. So I would have to dig into more like how this could be useful for us as far as part of it is like that's the other side of the house, right? So I need to understand what the other side of the house is doing, and then look at how we can kind of use that all together. But yeah, ultimately, I do think, I don't know, maybe if we can get to a point in time, we might end up trying to follow the guides for building our own Flatcar, right? So because you guys do a good job publishing the like how to build something completely from source. So it might be interesting if we just did things with like our own sysext and then whatever else on top, and to just like pull what you guys have, do our sysext, and be a lot happier that way, and Convex for that example. But
this is actually one of the main reasons we're so strongly embracing sysext, because it allows people to customize and modify their deployments in basically almost any degree they need without OS.
Yeah, and so perhaps I have too many hobbies, but I also like OpenWRT. Their big thing is really just like full-on OS building, image OS, like OS file system building. And so this is kind of the containerized version of that, or the server version of that in a way. But they seem similar
Nice.
to me, at least.
I just saw the stream freeze for a few seconds, and it actually I actually froze. Interesting. Saw that on the recording. I'm sorry for that network bump.
No worries.
Cool. All right. Open mic time. Any other topics you folks want to chat about? Cool. Do we want to do the release planning, or is that for next time, given the state of the build server currently?
Cyan is not here. I don't know. So
he's driving. He excused himself. He couldn't make it.
yeah, I don't know what to say about the release because of the KubeCon and the CI stuff. I didn't catch up with the current release date, but yeah, I guess we still plan to release the same thing we were supposed to release last week, and we expect maybe next week to be able to start the build.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I see. So in the release tracker, I see we originally planned the release this week, and that was before we run into continued CI issues. If you want to track Flatcar releases, you just go to the Flatcar org, to the project board, and then there's a tab releases, and that is the week of the release, and that is this week. And that's not going to happen because of the build server issues. We're going to overcome those this week, and then we'll be back next week for full builds and releases.
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Anything else you folks want to share or talk about? All right, then let's make this a wrap. Thanks for joining, and thanks for the prolonged open mic time this time. That was amazing. It's really enjoyable to hear from folks and to chat about Flatcar. See you back in 2 weeks for the Flatcar Developer Sync, or in a month for the next office hours. Thank you for joining and have a great time. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.